Oh my god, again with Lloyd Kaufman, once again talking with this guy. And he's always late. He's always late. I wonder again, where's Lloydo?
Sorry, that's supposed to be Prokofiev. That's the cat from Peter and the Wolf. But my I have COVID, so my clarinet playing is brain fogged.
Oh, so you're still with COVID?
Yeah, I have COVID. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, 1 week later, and we have COVID again.
yeah.
And
I caught it.
we
I caught it from you in Argentina. I think that's where I got it when we had the first part of the interview.
yes, 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 yes. That was a wild one. And
Yep.
actually, we ended up with Shakespeare Shitstorm. I know that I cannot show this, but I'm going to show just a little bit of it, just an image
You are
here.
welcome to show anything you want.
Shakespeare Shitstorms. This is a great, great movie. I have some questions here. First of all, is that okay? Of course, it's a movie that it's supposed to be laughing at some things for social justice warriors that we're going to talk about it, for the censorship culture that we have, for the cancel culture that we have now. But again, there's a message behind, and it's this opioid thing in the United States that you are, well, you as a doctor are against. So please tell me a little bit about it.
Well, that photograph that you just showed us, Facundo, is when I was a student at Yale University. I was studying chemistry, and that was in the Yale University yearbook. So, just to put that in perspective, Shakespeare, hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm is based on The Tempest, Shakespeare's, arguably Shakespeare's very, very last play. And this could very well be Uncle Lloydie's last motion picture as a director. I'm producing a number of movies, but I may not direct anymore. Don't know. Unless you find me a great script, Facundo. I don't think
Hmm.
I'm going to direct anything more. The Tempest is my favorite play of Shakespeare. It's about an old man. I'm an old man losing power. I'm losing power, being pushed deeper and deeper into the reeds of the underground, being ignored by much of the media, except for the brilliant people like Facundo. Prospero is not just losing power, but he's a magician, and I am a magician in that I create movies out of nothing. Comes a movie like Squeeze Play, Waitress, Toxic Avenger, Terra Firma, Troma's War, you name it. We filmed it. 50 years of movies. And the hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm is, I think, my most personal movie. And it has a lot to do with the fact that in the United States, we have these big pharmaceutical companies who have killed more Americans than Putin has. Right? How many? Putin's probably killed 10,000 people, 20,000 people, 25,000. The American pharmaceutical companies have killed this year alone 300,000 addicts, right? Fentanyl and all that other stuff. So that was a big theme. And then all this bullshit on social media, all the crap that's on people yelling at each other, nobody listening to anybody, people just fighting, pushing people in the subway, killing people. So all this hashtag Me Too has resulted in violence and verbal lynching and also some genuine violence. So this is what hashtag Shakespeare is all about. The Tempest had a monster. So obviously, I like monsters. I've used a lot of monsters in the Troma movies for over 50 years. Hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm and The Tempest have a fairy. They have lots of mythological kind of situations, and it's a wonderful play. The only problem, and what makes it very difficult for filmmakers, is that the Tempest, it's all set up. It's all set up. It's all this wonderful, magical stuff. And then Prospero says, okay, everybody, let's go home. There's no real, there's no real conclusion other than I forgive you, let's go home. So I think we at Troma have given the Tempest the kind of ending that it deserves. And I know for a fact that Shakespeare would be very appreciative of hashtag Shakespeare should story.
Well,
And
it's
so thank you for letting me talk for so long. I know I'm very boring, but what am I going to
no,
do?
no, no, no. I think it's a great movie because it focuses on so many crucial aspects that I know it's political correctness gone mad today, but you have the social media warriors. I guess it was that couple, and well, I can tell about the ending, about what's uh under the rope. I just can't tell. I'm just laughing of thinking about it, but um well, how was the cancel culture with Trauma? How did you experience it?
Yeah, but, I have gotten attacked twice, both by third-rate people, third-rate bloggers who were just trying to get more hits on Twitter. But our fans, the Troma fans, are very, very loyal, and they don't permit any trouble. So the fans basically murdered the people who hold on, I got to put this a little better here. That's better. The fans are very aggressive. The Troma fans protect Troma, and they protect Uncle Lloydie. And if anybody says anything bad, which has happened twice, we got canceled a couple of, I got canceled. So I don't know if it's canceled or just mugged or lynched online twice. But our fans totally destroyed the evil doers. So Troma fans, anybody who fucks with Troma or me has to deal with our fans, and I wouldn't advise it. Just
They
talk to
have to deal with the trauma warriors, or the trauma wars actually. And well, what I was thinking is that was this film actually well filmed in the COVID-19 pandemic, or it was before?
before. It was filmed, finished. Hashtag Shakespeare's shitstorm was completed just before the pandemic occurred. So we got rejected to every film festival pretty much. It played at a very important festival, Fantasia, and it was the most important film. But unfortunately, the media didn't accept the title. They didn't like the word shit. So the other festivals were afraid to play the movie. Also, the content of hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm exposes the hypocrisy of Sundance Film Festival and Cannes Film Festival and the Oscars, and all of these mainstream events are built on a swamp of hypocrisy, a swamp of corporate greed, a swamp of being addicted to government handout from and corporate handouts. So they, of course, so many of these so many of the festivals are not really loving cinema. They are loving bureaucrats. So I think the hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm content is quite revolutionary, and it's correct. The movie's point of view is 100% correct. Everybody says it.
And here's something about, well, what you were talking about. All the Love You Cans is a protest of Trauma with the Cannes Festival. Can you talk me a little bit about it?
All the Love You Can is a full-length documentary made in 2001 about how Troma, look at me, hey, how Troma hung over. That's what you call hangover look. Troma was famous at Cannes because we made a lot of street theater, and the documentary, All the Love You Can, shows you exactly how we sell movies at Cannes. And 10 years later, we went to Cannes and shot another movie, which my daughters are currently editing, All the Love You Can. It's called Occupy Cannes, and it's being completed now, but it's been 10 years in the making, but it's going to be finished very soon, Occupy Cannes. So there are many great documentaries that Troma has made. For example, if you go to Troma Now, our streaming service, Troma Now, you can see Poultry in Motion, about the 90 minutes about how we made Poultrygeist, how we made Terra Firma. There's a 90-minute documentary about Terra Firma called Farts of Darkness. Anyway, there are very, very good documentaries that I think your students and your fans will get a lot of benefit from. I think if you watch, say, Apocalypse Soon, the documentary that goes with the Citizen Toxic, Apocalypse Soon, you watch that documentary on Troma Now. It's worth at least 1 year of film school, which, as you know, NYU is almost $80,000 per year. 1 year is $80,000. You can get it all in one documentary, and it cost you nothing, because Troma Now is free for the first month, then only $4.99, which is, I think, 100,000 pesos.
But what, almost. But one thing is that well, it was actually something that came to my attention, that you had action, comedy, and film noir, and these are Hollywood classics by Ron. I think that it's a film curator that you have.
Yes.
But how did you get the rights for these movies?
Which movies are we talking about? The Rowan collection?
Yeah.
Well, the Rowan collection is about 400 movies. They are the best negatives of these movies. They're all, how do you say it, public domain. But because Cary Rowan, a collector, he, I think he may be dead now, but he was an old man who collected the negatives of many classics which were being ignored by the studios. White Zombie is one. Joseph H. Lewis's first movie with Bela Lugosi, The Invisible Vampire, it's called. They're wonderful. There's Frank Sinatra movies. There are all sorts of great movies on Rowan collection. Many of them are on Troma Now, and the best, if you want to see White Zombie and you want the best copy of White Zombie, you go to Troma Now, and you can see it on Troma Now. Also, many of the great movies that have unfortunately fallen into the public domain, but we are saving them. We're paying for storage, and we don't make money with Rowan, but it's a really interesting collection, and we are proud to be preserving these movies, which otherwise would probably disintegrate.
Well, and something else that we in our last conversation we talk about the how Troma had a success with after the Toxic Avenger, Glass of High, and all that. But how were the beginnings of Troma? How was dealing with the industry back in the 70s? Because it's going to be like 50, yes, it's going to be 50 years of Troma. So how was the beginnings of Troma? How was starting your own business?
Well, it was easier in a way. It was easier when all we had were theaters. The theaters in the 70s, the theaters needed movies. There were not enough movies because the multi-screen theaters, these theaters that suddenly opened up with 8 or 10 or 12 screens, they forgot there weren't enough movies for those screens. So we got lucky. We had Squeeze Play, Waitress, Stuck on You, First Turn On, and other movies, Blood-Sucking Freaks. We had about 20 movies, and we could supply the multi-screen theaters. And then, of course, as the industry became more consolidated, the independent movie studios, except for Troma, they all went out of business.
And you were actually very well. You were criticizing a lot of many directors. So what how would you describe the movie industry in the sense of well, you mentioned Oscar, the Cannes festival is highly concentrated because of what are the interests behind this concentration of directors, producers, and casting, and all of that? What is the reason of that concentration?
Well, the rules, at least in my country, I don't know about other places. Your country is ruled by bootlegging. Your country is ruled by film pirates, and maybe your government and a few big monopolies control the industry where people actually pay for entertainment. But all of the movies of Troma are bootlegged in South America, all over the continent. So they were not too happy with that. Same with China. As an artist, I'm happy to share my work. But if people are making money off my movies, as they are in Argentina and other countries, especially fascist China, that's not fair. I should get some of that money. So I'm quite bitter about all that. But on the other hand, we have very good fans, and Troma's in its 50th year now, and I'll soon be dead, so it's all good. I think the biggest problem in my country is that there used to be laws forbidding monopoly, but now, thanks to Clinton and his whore wife, and thanks to Ronald Reagan and his whore wife, and thanks to the other whores who've run our country, the movie industry and the entertainment industry and the major media has all become owned by a small number of giant devil worshipping international conglomerates in the media. So all the little studios that were around when there were laws against monopoly have all been put out of business. Luckily, Michael Herz and I, our original business plan was to be outside of the mainstream, make low budget movies, own the negatives, so we control everything, and curry the favor of our fans, enjoy our fans, be friends with our fans, create a Troma universe. I was friends with Stan Lee from around 1968, and I very much admired the Marvel universe. And we based the Troma universe on the idea of the Marvel universe, and that was basically our business strategy. And we've survived thanks to our fans. But the system worldwide is extremely corrupt and pretty disgusting.
Well, and actually, one of the biggest, I will say, disciples of Troma are the South Park creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, actually, and they did this magical thing that is Cannibal the musical. So, how was the relationship with those guys? How was the beginning of that
Well,
relation?
I discovered Oliver Stone. His first movie job was on Battle of Love's Return, one of my early movies. And then he was one of the producers on Sugar Cookies, Oliver Stone. So I try to encourage anybody with the name Stone. So Matt Stone came along with Trey Parker. They were big fans of Troma, and they hadn't finished. They needed help finishing Cannibal the musical and distributing it. And they came to Troma first because they loved Troma. We didn't have any big money to give them, so we told them, "Look, your movie is brilliant." We again, it was unfinished. We didn't see the whole film, but what we saw was hilarious, and any idiot could see that it's a genius. That these are geniuses, but the media the mainstream media were too stupid. They didn't understand the Cannibal the musical, so Trey and Matt went back to Troma. And we helped them finish the movie, and we put it in some theaters, and it was not appreciated at first. But after South Park, of course, people love Cannibal the Musical, and it's a wonderful, wonderful musical comedy. It's terrific. It's great.
And another thing that came to my mind is what when I was watching hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm, sounded as a song from the last Motorhead album. And Lemmy Kilmister was a big fan of Troma, and he was actually one of the narrators of Troma classic. That is this one that everyone knows, and is where is this? Well, this can happen, of course. Well, it's here, of course.
Lemmy was a
Can we
wonderful guy. He was a
can
great.
can we see it? Okay, so it was Lemmy narrating Tromeo and Juliet, one of Troma's biggest classics. So tell me a little bit more about the Lemmy relation with Troma and how Tromeo and Juliet became a reality.
Well, one day I was sitting in our office at the American Film Market. That's a big market in Santa Monica, California, where independent film companies present their new movies to international distributors. And I was sitting in that office. There were no buyers as usual, flies buzzing around. And suddenly I look up and there's Lemmy sitting in the office. And he wanted to say hello to Troma. I think he was promoting something else, maybe the Motorhead, I'm not sure. But we gave him a big part. He is British after all. So we said, well, wait a minute, Shakespeare was British. Let's make Lemmy the narrator. And Lemmy, who's, as you know, enjoys the alcohol and drugs and doesn't enunciate very clearly, he had more lines than anybody in the movie. And we should have used subtitles. Later on in the other movies that Lemmy is in, we give him subtitles. But what a great guy. He was so nice. We never paid him. All he asked for was a bottle of, first it was Jack Daniels in the early movies, and then with Terra Firma, he moved to Maker's Mark. He just wanted a bottle of Maker's Mark and a couple of Tromets with whom he could talk and converse during the setting up of lights. And movies are very boring when you're sitting around waiting for the camera and the lights. So he just wanted to have some nice, attractive women to talk to. He was 100% gentleman and a great historian. I had some good times with him. We went to a strip club together a couple of times, and he didn't drive. So when I was in Los Angeles, I would drive him around. And every year we go to the Rainbow, which is a place that Lemmy, I think, may have owned or a part owner, but he hung out there a lot. And so we go there once a year and leave an offering at his statue, which is there on the terrace. So I was very sad when Lemmy died. I wasn't expecting it. And, he was a great guy. And we dedicated, we made a little documentary to memorialize Lemmy. And I believe we dedicated one of the Return to Newcomb High volumes. Return to Newcomb High was the last movie that Lemmy was in that was a Troma movie, if I remember correctly. Also, the last movie that Stan Lee did too for us was a Return to Newcomb High, which you can see beautifully restored and color magnificent on Troma Now. It looks even better on Troma Now than Return to Newcomb High looked in the cinemas. So I would watch both movies together, Return to Newcomb High and Return to Newcomb High. 2 volumes, one movie, like Kill Bill. In fact, Tarantino basically put the idea in my head to make a big, pretentious, huge project like Kill Bill.
or like this part of Diálogos, or like this part two of Diálogos. And one thing that, well, actually was a big project of yours was this one that I cannot show due to YouTube standards, that I cannot show very much, but it's Poltergeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. And I'm using this image for a reason, because this is, uh, in some sense, Michael Herz. You can explain that. And and well, Poltergeist was a, well, it took a very long time to get it on screen. So please tell me about those things. How this person that we can see is Michael Herz in some sense, and how was the project of developing Poltergeist from the script to the screen?
Well, first of all, this gentleman is dead. Joe Flyshaker is his name. He was our 400-pound action hero and wonderful man. Because Michael Herz refuses to be on camera, I figured, okay, we'll use Joe Flyshaker, the big fat guy, and say that he is Michael Herz, and that will get Michael Herz angry, and then Michael Herz will beg to be on camera. But it didn't work out that way. Michael Herz liked the fact that Joe Flyshaker was playing Michael Herz for journalist, and in fact, Michael Herz would have liked to have Joe Flyshaker take over Michael Herz's desk at Troma, but it was not to be. But many people think that Flyshaker is or was Michael Herz. And when we would have business meetings in our office and people would see the real Michael Herz, they would be very quiet during the meetings, and they'd kind of look. I could see them kind of, looking Michael over and wondering. You could hear the wheels turning in their brains. And then eventually they would say to me privately, did Michael lose a lot of weight? So they really thought Joe was Michael Herz. Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead was inspired by the fact that McDonald's, evil McDonald's, moved next door to the Troma building in Manhattan, New York. We owned a building there in the center of New York City, and McDonald's came next door, and we immediately had rats the size of armadillos in our basement, and was a nightmare. And then Gabe Friedman, who was working for us, he and I had to. Nobody would come and fight against the rats. Not even Rats Are Us, the big extermination company. So we had to go down and fight the rats. And while we were doing that, Gabe suggested that because we hate McDonald's, we should make a movie against fast food. And at the same time, because I love musicals, Broadway musicals, that we could make a musical. And that's exactly what we did. And it's a wonderful film. And if you have Troma now, you can see it for free first month. And also the documentary, as I mentioned, Poultry in Motion, it's wonderful. It's funny, it's sad, it's sexy. It's the greatest, one of the greatest documentaries you'll ever see. And it's on Troma now exclusively. And if you're interested in the making of movies or film history, you must see Poultry in Motion at the same time as you see Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. It's really quite an amazing 24 seconds of truth.
Well, that was actually my
sorry. Go
well,
on.
that was actually my concern, because when someone is watching hashtag Shakespeare shitstorm, and you have like this sad ending, like this is my last movie, and your daughter is saying like this guy looks like Mel Brooks. It's like, okay, it's like I was always a misfit in the in the movie industry. I was always a misfit, and it's time to retire. And I want to know if I'm thinking out, and if I'm thinking correctly, if that's what you think. And well, what makes you take this decision of retiring from directing?
Well, I don't have a script right now. There's nothing I'm really fired up to make. If I get a script that I love, I'll either write it, if I get a script comes in that it is not a Troma script, I buy it and I make the movie. But I haven't seen anything that's one of a kind that moves my heart and my brain and my soul. And so I don't know that I'll direct another movie. And I don't have anything in my heart now to give to the audience. But I'm producing quite a number of movies. Divide and Conquer by Mercedes the Muse is a movie about feminism. It's terrific. We're trying to get theaters now. Anyone who's interested in feminism, the genuine feminism, not the bullshit feminism of Olivia Wilde, not the hypocritical crap that you hear from those kinds of people, but real feminism. Mercedes the Muse, Divide and Conquer. You can see her other movies on the Troma now. Honor Killing, Evil Twins, TWINZ. She's brilliant. And then you have Brandon Bassam, who wrote #Shakespeare Shitstorm. I produced his new movie, which is Slashing Part 2, The Final Beginning. Terrific. And it's on Troma now and in some theaters. And also a group of individuals who worked on #Shakespeare Shitstorm. About a dozen of them have just finished principal photography on a movie against hunting animals. It's called Weird Deer, Curse of the Weird Deer. And it's in Nashville, Tennessee. They just finished principal photography. In fact, these guys who worked on #Shakespeare Shitstorm, they call themselves Shithouse Productions. So, and they're filming in Tromaville, but the Tromaville is in Tennessee, land of Davy Crockett and Andrew Jackson and Michael Jackson. And they are making a wonderful movie, and I'm producing that. Also, Liam Reagan, who has worked for us for about 10 years. He's British and lives in England. He is finishing up post-production on Eating Mrs. Campbell, which was inspired, of course, by Blue Apron, the food service, that gourmet food subscription service. So Eating Mrs. Campbell, it's going to be terrific. Anyway, and then there's new movies that I'm producing also that are just beginning. So the young people today, sorry, I have COVID. The young people today, they know how to make movies for about 10% of what I can make them. I don't know how to work with the digital format. They make movies that look just as good as a $500,000 movie, but they can make them for $25,000. So I've been producing, and I might just keep doing that. But unless Facundo, you or Playa del Zombie people, or Martin, I can never remember his last name, Takuda, Martin Taruda, whatever. Unless somebody can get me a great script, I don't think I'll be directing.
Well, maybe we can get a.
I have to really believe in the project. It has to be in my bones for me to make the movie. So thus far, I haven't come across anything.
Well, I was actually did some talk in this week, so maybe we can get something from Argentina to Troma.
Wonderful.
But
Wonderful.
yes, actually, yes, this is not BS at all. And well, something else that I want to ask is that, well, you're actually a busy person, because when Shakespeare Shitstorm ends, I had this feeling of, okay, this is done. This is the end. This is the end of Lloyd Kaufman directing, because, as you said, because maybe he's old, he doesn't want to deal with this anymore. Maybe there's a part of that, or maybe or it's just about not getting a script.
A little of both. A little of both. This to make a movie for under $500,000 that looks like a $50 million movie. I mean, you look at #Shakespeare Shitstorm, trained whales. We film in Albania. We have got costumes and thousands of people are in that movie. We even have serious CGI, which I haven't really used in the past. hundreds of special effects, practical special effects. The special effect department had 30 or 40 people alone. So we had it's a huge project. And at the end of it, at the end of principal photography, I got vertigo, and which again was appropriating something from Alfred Hitchcock. It was appropriation of Hitchcock, which, as you know, is a sin according to the social justice warriors. Appropriation. I appropriated insect culture. I masturbated to a Japanese woman. Is that Japanese masturbation culture?
Well, yes, it's a sin to social justice warriors. So, well, thank you, Lloyd, for doing this second part. But I wanted to end up like having this reflection for some people that may not know Troma at all.
Sure.
Because as you know, Troma didn't have any distribution in Argentina. It's only from bootlegging, and
Yes.
the younger generations are not getting Troma, are getting Netflix, are getting Amazon, and all that. So
Hold on a second.
how-
Martin Tejada, Tejada. He's a genius, and he's living in Argentina. He's worked with me, and check out his graphic novels. They are wonderful. And I think he put me or Toxie in some of those graphic novels. They're very, very good. Sorry to interrupt, but he's a
no,
protege.
I will get in contact. Yes, I will get in contact.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
he's a good friend.
So how would you present Troma to younger generations that want that actually want something prefabricated, that want something like it's easy to watch, and it's like on Netflix and Amazon, and if it's not there, well, then fuck it. So how would you present Troma to these young people?
Well, Troma is 50 years of movies that are made via the auteur theory of making movies. There are, for example, Troma Now, the streaming service. There's about 1,000 moving pictures, all of which are genuine independent movies. They come from the heart and the soul and the brain of the filmmaker, and that's what's the most important part of art. Art is not a sausage. Art is mercurial. You cannot really describe what is art. But I can tell you that people who go to the movie theater to see Tromeo and Juliet, they know they will love Tromeo and Juliet. They know they might hate terra firma, but they know they will never forget #Shakespeare's shitstorm. Someone who goes to a Troma movie or watches Troma Now, they will have a universe they have never explored. They will have an adventure in the cinema. They will go on a ride they've never been on, and they will have genuine emotion. It won't just be a plastic amusement park. Scorsese is right. There are too many amusement park. Well, not too many, but there are the amusement park movies, and then there are the movies like #Shakespeare's shitstorm that are a big, different, more cerebral and more sublime and more thought-provoking and have genuine emotion. Troma is the jalapeno pepper on the cultural pizza, right? I have nothing against the Marvel movies. Some of them are terrific, but as are the other superstar movies, superhuman movies. But I'm too old. I find them boring. I've seen it all. I've seen all that stuff, except for Guardians of the Galaxy, in which, if I'm not mistaken, Lloyd Kaufman has an amazing cameo. Guardian of the Galaxy was genius, as was James Gunn's his HBO show. Pacemaker is very good, and Suicide Squad, the Lloyd Kaufman cameo in Suicide Squad. I couldn't believe when I saw that. I was like, oh, that's filmmaking. But at any rate, if you want something different, Troma movies, and you can get them all over South America. They are bootleg. But if you want to see them all together, and we also give you the commentary track on Troma Now, if you want the commentary track on Poultrygeist Night of the Chicken Dead, you have that option. You can watch the movie and then you can see it again with the commentary track. And then you can see the 90-minute documentary, Poultry in Motion. And then you can go out to Kentucky Fried Chicken and I don't want to go any further with that statement.
Okay, good. But I associate you with some other artists that well, for me are similar to you, that are Robert Crumb. I don't know if you have any relation
Yes,
with him,
indeed.
and Larry David.
I met him once in Paris with some lady too. Yeah, but again, it's like when I met the guy from Mad Magazine. I can't remember his name. He's dead now. But these guys are eccentric. But I love Crumb. Crumb's amazing, absolutely.
And what about Larry David?
Yes, a genius, a genius. Quite different from Troma, but brilliant, wonderful, just the best, genius. I didn't care. I love his movie where he's the bald guy, and it's a series.
Curb
Curb
Your
Your
Enthusiasm. Yeah.
Enthusiasm. Yeah, it's marvelous, marvelous. And his supporting cast is just the best. He combines what appears to be improvisation with script, and it's just lovely. The other one that he had for TV, wasn't
Well,
a little too.
Seinfeld.
What's that?
Seinfeld.
Yeah, I never watched. I watched a little of it, but it's a little too much like Prosecco. It's not deep enough. It's not. It's not C.K. Lewis.
I know that, and I don't know if you're familiar with this British show that is Peep Show. Have you ever watched it?
What's it called?
Peep Show.
How do you spell?
Peep.
Oh, Peep Show.
Show.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'll look for it. It's a British show.
Yes. It's very popular in Britain, and it was like very underground, and after the show ended, it became like a huge fan base. I watched the entire show once a month since my 17 years old. No, since I'm 14. Since I was 14 years old, I watched the show because it's really really amazing, and no one in the entire world could make something like that. It's
A British show, huh?
yeah.
There's also a great movie called Peeper. Peeper, a British movie too, crazy, very dark, about a guy who who made it. It's a great. Is it Pressburger Powell maybe, or it's a really dark movie. Peeper. Let me look here quickly. Anyway,
Yes,
I would recommend
I'm looking
that.
for it.
It's very dark. It's not funny. It's terrific. It made in the 60s, I think. Hold on. I should look at it again.
No, is this one. Let me share it with you. Is this one.
I can't see it. It's too
Peter,
small.
1975.
That must be it. Who directed it?
Peter Hyams.
Oh, Peter Hyams. Huh. Well, the one I don't know if that's the very one, but it's about a young man with a 16 millimeter camera, and he films people dying.
Oh, like it was like Peeping Tom or something like that.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Yes,
Peeping Tom, yes.
that's it. Right. Who
Yes.
directed that one? The Peeping Tom. That's right.
Peeping Tom, yes.
Yeah, Peeping.
Well, we are having this podcast movie talk now. So okay, so Lloyd, thank you, and I have to say one thing, that after the first interview, I had a tremendous feedback, like from many people here, like are crazy about Troma.
Yes, hold on. Peeping Tom was directed in 1960 by Michael Powell, who with Pressburger Powell, they made The Red Shoes, they made Stairway to Heaven, wonderful movies. And Peeping Tom was by Powell himself, I think, in 1960. It's a wonderful film. Sorry to interrupt.
No. It was it was great. But what I was saying is that after the first interview, I had two kinds of feedback. The first one was from the Troma fans that I didn't know that existed, that said, "Oh, you were talking with Lloyd Kaufman. I want Lloyd Kaufman in Argentina. Okay, we are trying to do that." Okay, first of all. And the second part is that who is Lloyd Kaufman? Who is the Toxic Avenger? So I had to because some movies like the Toxic Avenger are dubbed in Spanish here in Argentina, and you have like some billions like Cigar Face is called Cara de Puro, for example, and they saw that and it was like they never saw something like that, because you today have bizarre movies like shark movies and all that, but you will never see something like the Toxic Avenger. That's something that you will never see, and I don't know why, but it's something that it's so pure and disgusting, actually, that I mean, killing a dog, shooting a dog, smashing a 12 years old kid's head, you won't get that today. It was very, very disgusting, and I like it. So congratulations, and I will try to do my best to spread the word here in
Well,
Argentina.
thank you very much, Facundo. And 35 years later or 40 years later, Toxic Avenger is filmed as a big $100 million production
Mhm.
by Legendary Films. So I think it will be very good too. The director is very young. He loves Troma. Peter Dinklage, who plays Toxie, which is very original. Kevin Bacon, some other big stars, Elijah Wood. They love Troma, and I think they are doing a great job. And the movie is now in post production, and I think it's going to be a really good. I think it will present Toxic Avenger to a how do you? I guess a fourth generation,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
fourth generation.
Yeah, because it's always to replicate or to do something that it was like, yes, 14 years ago, and it has that touch of the 80s. It has that yes, it's a really particular touch. So making that in the 21st century, it's really hard of losing that essence. That's my biggest fear. When
Yes,
I see this kind of remakes.
right. We have freedom of speech as long as we don't say anything. That's how it is, at least in my country. I don't know what it's like in Argentina, but this is not a good era in which we live. But Troma is keeping, among others, is keeping freedom of speech alive. And hopefully, we are aiming at the truth. We are bringing the truth 24 frames a second, as the great Jean-Luc Godard preached. So, Facundo, thank you. And thank you to all of the Troma fans and the new Troma fans that may discover Troma, even if it's bootlegged. We are artists, and we are happy if people are watching our movies. And yes, it'd be nice to get some money, but that's not why we are artists. We are artists so we can play the clarinet. Prokofiev. Thank you, Facundo, and thank you to Argentina. I hope we get to spend some time together, and I hope you'll come to New York someday and visit the House of Troma, see where the Prospero magic happens.
Okay, so back in Spanish, I'm going back, okay. Bueno, esa fue la segunda parte con Lloyd Kaufman, la entrevista COVID. Nunca vieron a Lloyd Kaufman con COVID-19, así que es algo. Sí, probablemente termine Blunt of the Dead, probablemente termine muerto después de esto Lloyd Kaufman, pero bueno, lo podemos ver acá, en Diálogos. Así que nos vemos la próxima vez en otra emisión de Diálogos. Soy Facundo Guadaño.